Good evening and welcome to the League of Women Voters of St. Lucie County Candidate Forum of 2022 election year. I am Sabrina Taylor, the current president. Just a few quick reminders and information before we get started. Apologize for that. Technology is what it is. So by now, you should receive your vote by mail ballots, which were mailed on September 30th. The last date to request a vote by mail ballot is actually Saturday, October 29th. The last date to return it is October 31. You can either decide to mail your ballot back or you can hand deliver it. If you choose to mail it, please allow 10 to 14 days for delivery. Your ballot definitely must be received by mail no later than 7 p.m. on Election Day, which is November 8th. Early voting has already begun. It started on Monday, October 24th, and it goes until Saturday, November 5th, including Sunday, October 30th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then an additional day on Sunday, November 6th, from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Just know that there are 6 early voting locations, 2 in Fort Pierce, 4 in Port St. Lucie. The Fort Pierce locations are the Renaissance Business Park, formerly known as Orange Blossom Business Center, as well formerly known as the Orange Blossom Mall on Okeechobee Road. The second location is the Zora Neale Hurston Library on Avenue D. The first of the 4 Port St. Lucie location is a new center. It is the Indian River State College Veteran Center of Excellence on California Boulevard. The second is the Mid-Florida Credit Union Event Center on US 1. The next is Paula A. Lewis Library on Southwest Rosser Road, Rosser Boulevard, and the Port St. Lucie Community Center on Aroso Boulevard. Please know that a photo and a signature identification is required to cast your ballot. To learn more about the League of Women Voters, if you're interested, you can definitely visit our website at lwvslc.org. Again, that's lwvslc.org. And we also have presence. We have a Twitter page, an Instagram page, and of course the Facebook page in which you are reviewing us tonight. So now on to the forum. Tonight you will hear candidates running for the Florida State House Representative District 4 position. The format of tonight's forum will be a 90-second intro, followed by a series of questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and then finally a 2-minute closing. The order was determined before you all joined us. And just know that this is not a debate, so candidates will make their statements. Our moderator will ask some questions, and we will certainly move on to each candidate to allow ample opportunity to answer. The candidates will be alerted at the 30 seconds when they have 30 seconds remaining, and again when the time is up. Our moderator for this forum is none other than Carol Wyatt. Carol is the co-owner and operator of local radio stations WPSL in Port St. Lucie, WSTU of Stewart, and WJNX in Fort Pierce. She is the president of WPSL's Christmas Kids of St. Lucie County, the past president of the Rotary Club of Port St. Lucie, and a member of the Port St. Lucie Businesswomen. Carol has many years in broadcasting, including as a reporter in Los Angeles prior to moving to Florida in 1993. We at the League are so honored to continue to have her as our candidate for a moderator for yet another year. And now on to Carol. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina, and welcome to another League of Women Voters of St. Lucie County Candidate Forum. We thank the members of the League for researching and putting together the questions and contacting the candidates. We thank the candidates for participating, and particularly thank you for making the effort to inform yourselves before this general election. Tonight, Florida State House District 84. It is for a term of 2 years. It is representing a district that includes roughly the northern half of Port St. Lucie, up through Fort Pierce and out to Hutchinson Island. Our candidates are the incumbent, Dana Trabulsi, Republican, and challenger, Forrest Blanton, the Democrat. Dana Trabulsi was invited, but was unable to join us. So we begin with opening statements. Mr. Blanton.
Well, Yes, thank you so much, Serena and Carol, and thank you for the League of Women Voters. I want to thank you for this opportunity and thank you for presenting this forum, because I think that voting is vitally important to our country and to our state. So I'm running for District 84 because I love Florida. I lived here since 1964. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I've been a homeowner in St. Lucie County since 2004 and a permanent resident since 2005. I want to preserve and improve the quality of life in St. Lucie County. The things I believe in are, first of all, civil rights.
This meeting is being recorded.
Let me get rid of that. Yeah, I believe in civil rights. I support a woman's right to choose. I support LGBTQ rights. I'm a huge proponent of voting rights. I think that voting is a right and a privilege. We need to make it easier. And I support personal privacy issues. I also think that sustainable economic development is important for this area. I want to protect and improve public schools. I support affordable housing. We need to do more in that area. And I want to promote and restore the environment and obviously promote honesty and ethics in government. My style is I'm a listener. I try to build consensus. I'm an independent thinker. I'm running as a Democrat, but I look at every issue on its own basis and try to make intelligent decisions. I think it's important to build consensus and compromise when necessary. I respect all people, and I look for common sense solutions.
Okay, well, let's move to the questions. First one, the homeowners insurance industry in Florida was in crisis even before Hurricane Ian. In 2021 alone, over 11 companies liquidated or left the Florida market. And following the destruction of Ian, we know there will be more. So how do you plan to address this problem and protect Florida homeowners?
Well, this is a difficult issue. It is vitally important. Clearly, the disaster with Hurricane Ian brought this home to all of us. I know the legislature met earlier this year as a special session to address the issue, but the problem continues, and we continue to see insurance companies leave the market. I think this is really a combination of some abuse by bad actors, but also structural problems in the way we've set up our insurance industry. So one thing I think that we need to take a look at, from what my research has shown, is the issue of some bad actors suing or abusing the ability to sue right now. And so I think we need to take a look at the ability for homeowners to execute an assignment of benefit. Currently, a roofer can approach a homeowner, convince him or her that he needs a roof, put together a quote. He can also get the homeowner to sign an assignment of benefit clause. And then if the quote is rejected by the insurance company, perhaps because it's out of line or other reasons, the insurance company can sue the roofer can sue the insurance company directly. That leads to a lot of litigation, leads to increases in cost on both sides. So I think we need to take a look at that. I think it's I think properly speaking, a homeowner should get multiple quotes from roofing companies, submit them to the insurance company. If the insurance company acts in bad faith, then I think the homeowner should be allowed to sue the insurance company, but I don't think necessarily the roofer should. There are also other issues. I know that right now, if a homeowner's roof, if more than 25% of a roof is destroyed, the state requires that the entire roof be replaced. And that makes sense in some cases, but it's obviously cheaper to repair or do a partial replacement than it is to replace the whole roof. So I think that's something that we need to take a look at also. And if we do these things that make it a little more fair and restrict some of the burdens from the insurance companies, then I think we can also take a look at requiring insurance companies to go easier on homeowners. Right now, an insurance company can refuse to renew insurance coverage if a roof has less than 15 years life on it. And that happened to me. I had to go to the Citizens Insurance Group. I think we need to take a look at that and make it fair all around. Because this is a vital important, not just because it's an economic issue for our homeowners, but because they need coverage when disasters occur.
Okay, next question. Florida is also experiencing, as you mentioned, a housing crisis. Housing costs have been on the rise. Most are out of range for first-time buyers. The hospitality industry is struggling to find workers because they simply can't afford to live here. So how will you address this housing problem?
Well, this is an important issue, and it is approaching a crisis, and it's an important issue not just because it's the fair thing to do and the right thing to do for the people who are trying to make a living and find a place to live, but it's also important because affordable housing, workforce housing, is important to support our economy. It's important to support our service industry, our marine industry, teachers, government workers. All of those need places to live. So there is a Sadowski Housing Trust Fund, which is funded by documentary stamps. That was set up by the legislature in the 1990s, and it is intended to both fund homeowners directly and to fund builders of affordable housing. However, since the early 2000s, the state legislature has robbed the Sadowski Fund. It has diverted the money from the Sadowski Fund to other needs. To the extent of over $2 billion of diverted funds. So we, or at least the state legislature, has partially created this problem by not appropriately funding affordable housing issues. I think we need to, currently the funding for the Sadowski Fund has been restored, but only at a 50% level. I think we need to restore the funding for Sadowski at the full funding, and perhaps even look at catching up on some of the funds that were diverted over the past decades. Beyond the Sadowski Fund, there are a number of things we need to take a look at. Local housing areas, local municipalities, the government and municipalities, I think they need to take a look at ways to create cheaper housing. Tiny homes, I know, are allowed in many areas, and that is an area that has to be looked at carefully, but I think that's a way that some municipalities can increase the quantity of housing, lower the cost of some housing, and also potentially provide some additional revenue for homeowners who are trying to make ends meet. There's also something called accessory dwelling units, which is in use in other states, which is similar, but allows homeowners to convert parts of their house, a garage, a second story, a basement if we had them, into a rental unit. Again, to provide housing that's of lower cost, and also to provide some additional income to the homeowner. So I think there are a variety of issues we need to take a look at. Government incentives are important. We can reduce the cost of some permits. We can, particularly in targeted areas where they're low income or infill is appropriate, and we can reduce perhaps special assessments to make it easier in those targeted areas. I also think we need to, at the state level, ask local governments to come up with plans and approaches for how they are going to address affordable housing in the state.
Okay, next question. There is an amendment on the ballot that gives a tax break to homeowners that harden their homes against flooding. What should be done at the state level to harden all properties, private and public, against flooding, since natural disasters tend to destroy large areas not confined to private properties, cities, or counties?
Well, it's a great question, and certainly Hurricane Ian has shown us that no part of Florida is immune from the potential for bad weather and disasters, and there are a number of disasters that can occur. Hurricanes are the ones that we in Florida are most used to, but there are also economic disasters. The pandemic was a certain type of disaster. So I think we need to encourage our local municipalities and counties and utilities to harden their facilities. Particularly FNL has been doing a good job. I know cities are trying to harden their facilities. The work that the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority is doing to relocate the sewer plant from Hutchinson Island, I think is vitally important. Not only is not the right thing in a wrong place for environmental reasons, but it is subject to damage or to overflow during a hurricane, which could release lots of sewage into the river, and in addition to shutting down sewage treatment for the communities it serves. So I think we need to look at a number of areas in contingency plans, and the state can do a lot to encourage local areas. I don't think it's a state function to do these plans directly, but they need to do more to help businesses to recover with loans, provide workspaces, perhaps after disaster, and support for homeowners. And
Okay,
again, I would
thank
answer,
you. We're moving on to our next question.
Okay.
70% of Americans support gun law reform. We have all heard the NRA's statement, guns don't kill people, people kill people. In your opinion, which people should not have guns?
well, that's a good question. And the NRA is right that guns do kill people, but people kill people with guns. And so, I may differ from some of my Democratic associates in this because I am a gun collector and I owned a number of guns or rifles that could be considered assault weapons. So I'm a little sensitive on the issue, but I don't think it's the type of gun that is the problem. I think it is guns in the wrong hands that is the problem. So I'm in favor of eliminating the gun show loophole. I'm in favor of universal background checks. I think we need to make sure that people who own guns and weapons are qualified and know how to use them and are safe. I'm in favor of increasing and enforcing our red flag laws and protecting people who are victims of domestic abusers. So I think there's a lot we can do, but we need to keep the guns out of the hands of people who should not have them.
Okay, next question. Many Floridians and their families continue to be without health insurance. The cost of medical care has risen dramatically. How do you propose to address the problem?
This is an issue that's close to my heart. I worked most of my professional career as a healthcare administrator for the Memorial Healthcare System in South Broward, which is, I think, the 5th largest public health system in the country. And I have seen firsthand the way that our industry treats people who are underinsured or who don't have insurance. And again, my healthcare system is a public health system, is ethical. It treated all people regardless of their ability to pay. However, I know that our healthcare system is unfair to folks who are not insured. It does not treat them with dignity. It does not treat them with respect. And I also believe it is inefficient. We need to expand our healthcare coverage. We have not expanded Medicaid in the state of Florida. I think that's wrong. Only 12 states have now not expanded Medicaid. There are 1.3 million Florida residents who would gain health insurance if we expanded Medicaid, and that would bring another $6.6 billion into the state. And additionally, we should expand Medicaid not just because it's fair to our residents, because it's more efficient and cheaper overall to take care of people than to leave them uncovered.
Okay, moving on to our next question. In the last 2 legislative sessions, bills have been passed that claim to secure our election system, but are seen by many as punitive measures. Did Florida have a clean election in 2020, as the governor has stated? If so, why do we need any of these laws?
Florida did have a clean election in 2020. In fact, I think the governor bragged about it during that time. And I am opposed to laws that restrict our voting. I think voting is the bedrock of our democracy. Voting is both a privilege and an obligation, I believe. We should make it easy and fair to vote. So I think the strategy of the conservatives in this state and others is to make it hard to vote. And they do that in the hopes that more of their core supporters will persevere and vote, and that their opponents will not. That's wrong. It's not fair. We should encourage every single person to vote, and we should compete on the basis of our ideas and our thoughts, not on the basis of restricting people's ability to vote. In particular, the election integrity division, I think, is a travesty. We spent several $million, I think $12 million on this issue, and we prosecuted people who had properly gone about the vote, registering the vote, and it is intended to suppress our fringe voters, and I'm opposed to it.
Okay, next question. What is your position on Florida's current 15-week abortion ban, and will you support legislation that further restricts access to abortion?
No, I would not support any further legislation to restrict a woman's right to choose. I think that our bodies and a woman's body is something that the government should not be involved with. I don't think that our reproductive rights I don't think our contraceptive rights, and I don't think the choice of whether a woman choose to have a child or not is anything the government should be involved with. So I favor reproductive rights and women's right to choose up to the point of viability. I think that choice belongs to a woman, her family, and her doctor, and I don't think it's the government's business to get involved for how we choose to have and raise our families.
Okay, if we have no questions from our audience, let's move to closing statements. Mr. Blanton.
Well, thank you. And again, we live in a fantastic area. We live in a wonderful county, a beautiful area. And I think our best years as a community are ahead of us, even though there will be many changes. So when I am elected, my priorities will be to protect access to voting, to protect our personal privacy, in particular, a woman's right to choose, to enhance and to support workforce training to produce the workers we need for our economy, to support and encourage affordable housing, to work on insurance reform, support public school funding, and to increase our teachers, harden our infrastructure. We didn't talk much about the environment, but that's a huge, huge issue that I think is vitally important, not just because it's the right thing for our quality of life, but also because the right thing for the creatures that live here and also for our economy. And it's an important choice we face before us, whether we as a society want to continue to promote culture wars and increase partisanship, or whether we want to try to find common ground, promote inclusion, and work together as a people. I ask for your support. Please vote for me on November 8th.
Thank you for joining us. Forrest Blanton, a candidate for Florida State House District 84. And we want to mention the incumbent, Dana Trabulsi, was invited to be part of the forum tonight, but was unable to join us. So we thank Mr. Blanton for being with us. We thank the members of the League for developing all the questions and making all the arrangements. And certainly we thank you for informing yourselves ahead of the general election. So Sabrina, back to you.
Thank you again, Carol, and thank you, Mr. Blanton. And most importantly, thank you, the viewing public, for making time out of your busy schedules to get a chance to meet your candidate if this is your first time, as well as determining, what candidate best reflects your values as you plan your vote. If nothing else, please remember your vote does matter. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice. Be safe out there. Until then, bye for now.